Do you ever feel like life keeps presenting you the same pain over and over again? The same heartbreak, the same fear, the same self sabotage, again and again and again. Maybe just in different scenes, different times of your lives, but it keeps repeating over and over. And you try to change, you want to do better, you want to do it differently next time, but somehow you keep falling back. And for most people, it then feels for us like, you know, that's just who I am, or that's my life, that's my destiny, or some people call it karma, or that's fate. And there's a quote I love from Carl Jung where he said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. What if it's not fate? What if it's your subconscious programming? And the difference here is if it's fate, you cannot change it. But if it's subconscious programming, you can. So let's look at this. You see, 95% of everything we do, think, and say is subconscious. It's underneath the surface. And only 5% of everything we do, think, and say is actually conscious. That's why often the picture of the iceberg or the metaphor of the iceberg is used, where only 5% is over the surface, and the bigger part, 95%, is underneath the surface. We don't see it, we are not aware of it. So if you find yourself stuck in the same toxic patterns, sabotaging your successes, repeating heartbreaks, finding yourself in the same kind of relationships, stuck and starting over and over again in your business, relationships, whatever it is, it feels then for us that we are reliving the same story, just with different faces, different places, different costumes. But the pain is always the same. The pain is that so familiar, deep pain. And we then call it karma, destiny, bad luck. But it's none of that. It's just running an old code, subconscious programming that was written by experiences, often in childhood, mostly in childhood, by how you interpreted what happened to you, what it meant about you, the belief you formed back then. And this became the program. So the thing is, the subconscious, remember 95%, conscious only 5%, the subconscious drives the conscious. So even if you consciously want to stop procrastinating or lose weight or speak up, send this email, build your dream, whatever it is, if you consciously want it and your subconscious is programmed against it, because it's never against you, but it always wants to protect you from pain, because there is more pain linked to what you consciously want, then you won't succeed, because it's like driving with the handbrake on. You want to move forward, but something is holding you back, and that never works. Now, most people even don't realize what's happening because it's underneath the surface. We don't see it. So we keep ending up in the same situations. We react even the same way, the same reactions, and the same inner pain. And we are attracted to the same people, to the same circumstances to reinforce the program which is programmed within us. And I'm sure you know that feeling keeps coming up, whatever it is. So everyone has their own history, their own programming, their own pain. Same story, just repeating in different scenes of your life. So again, Carl Jung said it best when he said, Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And this is exactly what most approaches don't resolve. They only deal with the symptom, but the symptom is just a symptom and never the real problem. The real problem is what happens underneath the surface. It's like when you're painting over a mold wall. Well, yes, it looks nicer for a little bit, and you can also spray lavender for the smell, and you hang a pretty picture on it, or you even tape an affirmation on it. But the mold will come back every time because the dampness underneath was never addressed. So real changes here means stripping the wall, fixing the leak, trying it out, rebuilding it, and then we can paint it. And then it stays. And the mold is gone for good. Now, this is the same with the subconscious patterns because the subconscious patterns, they shape how we perceive the world, how we react, how we think, how we speak, how we love. And if we just, try to fix the symptom, deep down, we will still react, think, speak, love through the subconscious programming, the old pattern. So, also, you don't need to change everything around you, change the other person, change the circumstances, or patch up the cracks with more motivation, or, if you try, whatever you try to do on a conscious level, again, it's just like patching up the cracks. And it doesn't go underneath the surface. It's just like painting over the mold. It doesn't solve the issue, the root cause. So you need to really go there deep and change the programming, which is also the lens through which you see the world around you. Now, let me share a story with you, which I think illustrates that so beautifully. A while ago, a man came to me and he was super depressed and he hated himself. He just couldn't look into the mirror without feeling disgust for himself. And he had tried everything before. He did therapy, mindset work. He had everywhere sticky notes with affirmations like, I love myself, life is beautiful, but nothing worked. And in fact, he said that this made him feel even worse. So all these affirmations, or wherever he tried to say this to himself, whenever he saw somewhere this sticky note with I love myself, he felt like throwing up. And the reason is because when you're saying to yourself, I love myself, when you actually don't, it creates a painful inner split, a cognitive dissonance. So you're saying it, but deep down you feel the opposite. And this even reinforces the original belief or the original feeling of, I hate myself. So I told this man when he came to me, stop forcing it, stop pretending, and stop reframing on this surface level. Just let it all. And let's go deeper. And first, you have to accept where you are at. So, this was the first step. I said, okay, you hate yourself. Well, that's okay. At the moment, this is how it is. That doesn't mean that it will stay like that. But if he tries to reframe it only on the surface level, again, what will happen is like this cognitive dissonance, this inside split, like he feels that's so not true. So we didn't stay at the surface level and talking endlessly about the problem and about what might have caused this and talking, with the conscious mind, because when we talk, it's obviously the conscious mind that's talking, and I get answers from him that are already coming through this programming that made him go around and hate himself and the world and feeling like super sad and desperate. So we went deep into the subconscious, and we made a dive deep session and looked back to childhood scenes, moments where, as a little boy, something really bad happened to him, where he couldn't say no, and he felt helpless and ashamed. And from that moment on, he took on the shame, he took on the guilt, and he formed the belief of, I'm disgusting, I'm unworthy, I'm a bad person, and I do not deserve happiness in my life because I'm so disgusting, because I'm so unworthy. So he carried those beliefs for decades, these heavy, heavy beliefs like a burden: shame, guilt, loneliness, isolation. And that's what shaped the way he saw life. So it was like looking through glasses or through a lens that blurred the reality and gave him his own reality, which was through the belief, I'm disgusting, I'm unworthy, I'm a bad person, hence I do not deserve to be happy. So he lived as this wounded version of himself for decades, believing that he didn't deserve happiness. But when we dove deep and worked directly with the subconscious, everything shifted. Because he rewatched the scenes from childhood. And now, not as a child, not with a childlike thinking or understanding, but he looked at it through his adult eyes. And what happened then is he saw something that really cracked him open. He saw a helpless, innocent boy, unprotected. He couldn't protect himself, and it was never his fault. So, through tears of deep release, the wall of shame and guilt collapsed, and for the first time of his life, he felt something other than hate towards himself. He felt compassion. And that doesn't mean that he was jumping around then and saying all the time, I love myself, but like these hard feelings towards himself, they collapsed with the shame and the guilt. Because for the first time of his whole life, he saw the truth of it was never his fault. Now, by understanding that he interrupted this subconscious programming, and then we installed new empowering beliefs, not just as words, not just as affirmations, but as a truth deep in his subconscious. So we worked with the subconscious where the real change also happens. So there were no sticky notes around and no more pretending, no more reframing on a surface level. It was deep healing inner work he did. And something really shifted in his life, not just on the outside, not just trying to be a good man. I mean, he was trying his whole life to be good, to change, to break the patterns, to do it better, to do it differently. But it didn't work. But now, because he saw the root cause, because he interrupted these harmful, cruel beliefs, he could really change from within. And yeah, that's so beautiful. These are the things that make me just so grateful for what I get to do about my work. Because months later, he wrote me and he said, you know, now I can say I'm happy for the first time in my life. And it doesn't mean I'm jumping around all the time and everything is easy now. No, it's not because life got easier. It's not because challenging disappeared, but because he was finally free. He could break these harmful beliefs. He could break this subconscious programming. And he was finally seeing the life through a different lens. And of course, he had still things to handle and some messes left over from his past that he had to, clean up. And he had still ups and downs like anyone else. But the difference here is now he faced them all with peace, with strength. When he fell down, he would stand up. He wouldn't blame himself. He would just keep going. And having the strength that comes from within, other than trying to force it and feeling like swimming against the stream all the time. And there was a smile on his face. And it was not a fake smile, it was a smile of relief that came from inside out because he had changed the program that was running his life. And this is the power of the subconscious work. It's not about trying to think differently, it's not about trying hard to do something in another way. It's about going where the root lies, like working with your subconscious mind. And that's not woo woo, that's wisdom. That's real deep inner work. And once you understand what's really running the show, you finally get to take the wheel. You are in control of your life again. Your life doesn't have to be on repeat. You can rewrite the story how you want instead of, being a victim of circumstances, situations, people until you finally solve it. How you can solve it? Well, only when you go and work with the subconscious. And it's not about willpower, it's about awareness. It's not about doing more, it's about healing deeper, going deep. And that can change everything. If this story touched you as much as it touched me, seeing this beautiful man transforming his life, let it sit with you. Let it move something in you. Just go inside with compassion and see what's coming up for you. And if you're ready to shift those patterns for real, then do the deep work. If you need support, I'm here. And don't forget, you are not at the mercy of your fate. It's in your hands. You have the power to heal. You've got this. And if you ever need support, I'm here to help you. I'm sending you so much love and see you next time.